Hello, my name is RG of Astig Vegan. Happy 2022, Happy New Year to you and to your loved ones. And along with the new year comes the resolutions or goals or aspirations. I think they're very healthy to have something in mind for us to aspire to become better versions of ourselves. And along those lines, I've asked around on social media in case some people out there are interested in becoming vegan. So if they have any questions for me, being vegan for at least 15 years now, I would love to answer them. So I'm introducing to you the Q&A portion. Questions that I got, the 3 questions I think are really fabulous and interesting, and I can't wait to share with you my answers and my points of view as a vegan Filipino now living in the Philippines. So here you go. My first question is from Gracie with double R, Gracie, and she asked how to start with this icon, this emoji. Well, first of all, congratulations, Gracie. I'm happy that you are interested in starting how to be vegan. I hope that you will pursue that. Well, where to start? How to start. So, in order to get to the how to, I think it's really important first to pause, reflect, and understand our why. So that's the most important part. The how becomes easier when you have a strong why. So go ahead and reflect. I highly suggest to just take some time away from distractions, away from social media. So maybe you can pause this for now and step away, maybe surround yourself in nature and just ask, or maybe just, a quiet room and ask yourself, what are your intentions and why? And when you get that strong why, the how becomes easier. With that said, there are many different ways to go about becoming vegan. So once you have found your strong why and you have found your dedication, then the how, just some suggestions will be to be easy on yourself, So first will be to start with maybe your favorite dishes that you love eating since you're a kid, or your favorite ultimate comfort food, and then figure out a vegan version of it. Now, if you don't cook, I understand. I know I really advocate for people to cook, but I understand that some people can't, or they just wouldn't be able to. Then if that's you, then find out what's around you in your neighborhood, where you can get your vegan food, vegan products. And you'll be surprised sometimes, it's a simple search will lead you there. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an all vegan store. Sometimes there are supermarkets out there, or even restaurants that have meat but also have vegan options, or they can customize something for you. So yes, first start with yourself. Ask yourself the big why, your motivation, your intention. And the second part is, the how, which is first just start with something simple like your favorite dish. If you do cook, create a vegan version of your favorite dishes. Let's say if your favorite is mac and cheese, then create a vegan version of that, which you can find tons of recipes of. If you are into Filipino food, that's where I can come in, and then you can search my recipes there. Now, and then the second part is the third, I guess, but the second part of the second answer is if you don't cook, then find vegan places near you, or places that have vegan options near you, so that when you find yourself in a bind or you're not sure what to eat, then you have these go-tos already, so you won't feel deprived. So that's our question. That was our answer to that question, how to start, from Gracie. So I hope that's helpful. There are tons more that I want to say about this topic. It's a simple question, but very that requires, that has lots of answers. For me, at least, I have lots of opinion about it, but I don't want to overwhelm you. So let's start with that answer. So I hope that was enough for you. And then the second question is from mpk.irl, and she asked, how to convince my Filipino mom that vegan food is real food. Now that is the struggle right there. I mean, for me, the biggest compliment is when a non-vegan Filipino mom likes my recipe, because it's such a great validation, right? Because it's so hard for, you know, our moms or the older generation who may not be as familiar with vegan, especially vegan Filipino food, to you know, during their time, it's such an anomaly, for lack of a better term. It's just not, it's unusual. It's not, you know, it's not as familiar to them. Thinking about my own mom, it helps that back then when I decided to go vegan, we were living under the same roof. So I would cook something, and that really sometimes really entices people when they see something that looks appetizing or similar to the meat version, and they get curious. And you know, it's a bonus if it's a big bonus if it smells good, and even huge, you know, bigger bonus or biggest bonus if it tastes good too. So that really helps. Maybe, you know, you can cook something for her. If you do cook, now if, let's say, she doesn't live with you, you guys live separately, social media helps. I have a lot of relatives before who don't understand what I'm trying to do with Astig Vegan. They just don't, you know, understand, or they disagree with veganizing Filipino food. But when I would post photos, it really helps, right? Eyes eat first. So if I post photos on my Instagram, Facebook, and other platforms, they get really curious and enticed. And so that's also another gateway, is if you can post photos, and they don't necessarily also have to be your own cooking. So if you don't cook, then you can post photos of dishes, Filipino vegan dishes that you have gotten from restaurants or from wherever. Then that may hopefully also entice them into learning more. But if that's still, you know, let's say your Filipino mom is such purist, very traditional, and doesn't like the traditional version to be tampered with, to be messed with, then I would say to highlight already vegan Filipino dishes. So these are already vegan Filipino dishes that we don't necessarily think that they're vegan, but they are. So they exist. So you know, you'd be surprised. For example, we have the kakanin, you know, from the rice, the suman. We have the ginataan, you know, we have in coconut milk. We have so many rice treats like PALITAW, BILO-BILO, even TURON, and even street food like mani, even, or different kinds of Filipino vegetable dishes that are highly almost vegan, like kangkong adobo, munggo. So start with those. If you know, you have such a harsh critic within the family, then you can really start with something that historically is already or almost vegan anyway. So that way it's not too much of a stretch. So I hope that would help with bridging the gap with your Filipino mom. And last but not least, from Jen M. Rodriguez, she asks, how do you stop the crave of meat? Silly question, but I feel it sometimes. So it's not a silly question at all. Thank you for asking that, and you don't have to feel embarrassed. It sounds like you feel a little bad about asking it, but thanks for asking anyway. Well, there are vegans who still miss the taste of meat, and that's why there's such there's a huge demand for, mock meats or for vegan versions of fried chicken, vegan versions of sausages. And this is not, this is even prior to the fame or the popular brands, even back then, because I've been vegan for 15 years. So early on, mock meats have been around for a while, and they were not catering to non-vegans who want to eat healthier or want to eat better for the planet or just want to be flexitarian. Back then, they were catering for vegans who do like the texture and taste of meat. So with that said, that's when you do have the cravings, then you can rely on those products. They do, especially, you'll be surprised. There are many great options, especially nowadays, that can satisfy and fix your cravings without having to resort to red meat or chicken or even fish. There are many alternatives out there. Now the question is how to get to these alternatives. So here in the Philippines, we even have local brands available at supermarkets, available at restaurants. Abroad, then it's even easier if you're in the US, even in Europe. It's just a matter of learning what supermarket carries the vegan meat alternative that you're craving for. So, I highly recommend most of the time to cook and eat whole foods, plant-based food. But really, if you have the craving for the flavor and texture of meat, go for the mock meats. And that's why they're there, so that for situations where you do feel like craving for that bite, that meaty bite. So thank you for these 3 people who have asked me these very intriguing and interesting questions. Feel free for everyone else to ask away. I'm very excited. Will do my best to draw from my own experience and answer truthfully from what worked, based on what worked for me and based on what worked for my loved ones as well. Thank you, and I hope to see you again next time. If you have more questions, then we'll do another Q&A. Maraming salamat and kita-kits!